In the year 2100, humanity now has a permanent colony on Mars, and thanks to our new space travel technologies, going to the Red Planet has become extremely accessible. With a current population of 50,000 people, the Martian colony receives about 1,000 people per year from Earth to participate firsthand in this new phase of humanity. Due to immense technological advances in the last century, Mars is now a self-sustaining colony and has become a vital economic partner for Earth. Being close to the asteroid belt that separates the Red Planet from Jupiter, the colony has a rich source of ores thanks to space mining on these asteroids. For decades, the relationship between Mars and Earth has been a perfect symbiosis benefiting both planets. Mars sends precious ores to Earth, and Earth, in return, sends skilled individuals and new technologies to Mars. But as Mars is still a colony of Earth, some problems have started to occur. First, the diverse nationalities that make up the Martian population have created a unique culture unlike anything we have here. On Mars, there are no borders, no countries. Everyone inhabits one place, and the entire planet benefits from it. However, legally, Mars is still a colony of Earth, which means that all political and economic decisions are still made by the UN. And it's also the UN countries that decide which improvements should be made in the Martian colony and which countries on Earth will receive the precious Martian ores. This generates discontent among the Martian population. Mars is a self-sustaining colony. It has a unique and rich culture, and it wants to decide its own leaders and determine, as a civilization, what the next steps are for the colony's growth. So Mars declares independence from Earth. This scenario is still worthy of science fiction books because a colony on Mars won't be a possibility anytime soon, let alone a self-sustaining colony. However, this scenario still raises some important questions that we cannot escape, whether now or in the future. Let's say you want to declare yourself as the king or queen of Mars and claim the entire planet as your property. What exactly prevents you? To begin with, there's a set of laws from At the height of the Cold War, the United States and the Soviet Union were engaged in a technological war, the space race. Humans had not yet set foot on the moon, which would only happen 6 years later. But since space was within our reach for the first time, some serious concerns about its use began to emerge. That's exactly why the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs was created, bringing together several countries that were already UN members. A new set of rules, or if you prefer, laws in space, was created to prevent any one country from appropriating everything. It's this treaty that limits what each nation can do with celestial bodies like the Moon and Mars, or even space itself. For example, it's because of this set of rules that astronauts launched into space who land on the territory of other nations must be safely returned to their country of origin. In the context of the Cold War, this was very important because it ensured, for example, that American astronauts would not be held as political prisoners if they landed on Soviet soil, and vice versa. Basically, the international law of space is a set of rules aimed at the peaceful coexistence, exploration, and use of space. So, if someone tried to claim Mars, they would be immediately blocked by this set of laws. For example, Article 1 states that the exploration and use of space must be for the benefit and interest of all countries, regardless of their economic or technological development. And it further states that space should be the province of all humanity. Article 2 states that space, including the Moon and other celestial bodies, is not subject to national appropriation, sovereignty claims, or any other means of use or occupation. Just these two articles are enough to ensure that no future Martian colony declares independence from Earth. Okay, but it can't be that simple, right? Let's suppose that you gather a Martian colony similar to the one I mentioned at the beginning of this video, and that you are declared king or queen of Mars there. Here on Earth, by international law, a country is considered a sovereign state if it meets the following criteria: a permanent population, a defined territory, in this case, Mars, a single government, and the ability to establish relations with other sovereign states. A colony, as I presented at the beginning of this video, would easily satisfy these criteria. So, could you be the king of Mars? Probably not. Just like several countries that have emerged in recent decades, you would simply be ignored the moment you declared your independence from Earth. And if you insist too much, your colony would likely suffer economic embargoes as countries on Earth depend immensely on economic relations with other countries. It's not very surreal to imagine that the same would apply to planets, and it would become increasingly difficult for you to find economic partners on Earth. In this way, you and your Martian colony would isolate yourselves from the rest of humanity. But this raises another interesting question, and there will come a time when Unity will probably have several colonies on various different planets. Okay, this will probably take longer, but one day, and we hope it will happen under current space legislation, none of these colonies can ever be independent of Earth. They are the property of humanity, and all countries on Earth have the right to free access and free movement, and that makes a lot of sense. The current scenario in which humanity has not yet established any permanent colony on any moon or planet, but this seems somewhat unrealistic. In a distant future, a natural process of the consolidation of colonies and future states seems to be independence. We have more than enough historical examples of several countries that started not as colonies of more powerful countries and one by one gained their independence as centuries passed, and as more and more planets and moons were colonized. Earth becomes less and less the center of civilization, making it increasingly difficult to demand that all planets be permanent colonies of Earth. Perhaps future humans will witness the changes that we will have to make to our current space laws. Maybe the civilization of the future will be an extremely decentralized interplanetary civilization, yet still cooperating as a whole toward our ultimate goal as a species, exploring the universe. Humanity, like babies taking their first steps, is slowly crawling toward the universe, step by step, planet by planet, until we become an interplanetary civilization. The universe can often be daunting and infinitely vast, but it will be comforting to know that no matter where we are or where we go in the cosmos, every place will be our home and will be filled with humans waiting for us with open arms. Perhaps future humans will look at the bright spots in the sky and know that up there, somewhere distant, there is a whole planet with other people, another culture, but with one thing in common: origin on Earth. Thank you very much, and until next time.